Hi, welcome back to another PocketSite tutorial. In this video what I want to do is just recap on some of the page editor options that we've gone through over the last few videos. I'm aware we've covered a lot of ground, and just really consolidate a few things and provide a few tips on how to kind of work efficiently with the page editor so that you're getting the most out of it and you can build your website as quickly as possible. So to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is actually create a new page, and we know to create a new page we go over to Pages, Add New here. I'll click on Add New. I'm just going to call this Demo Page. I want to go into the page editor, so I'll just click on Page Editor. We'll go away, create a new page and load up the page editor. And we're back into a screen that should be familiar to us now. We've got the dialog box over here on the right hand side, and we've got the familiar kind of page editor options at the top here as well. As we know, if we want to add any content to this page, then we would go over to Rows and click on one of the row options here, depending on the number of columns that we would want in a row. So for this particular example, I'm just going to go with 2 columns, so I'll click on 2 columns, drag it over to the screen, drop it in, and that will automatically create the new row for me with 2 new columns in it. If you want to change anything to do with the row itself, then there are some row options as well. To access those, you would click on the hamburger menu here, and it's called Row Actions. Click on that, and you've got Reset Column Widths and Reset Row Width as well. So the Reset Row Width would set the row back to its original default, which is what we've got here, which is where it's not actually reaching the full width of the screen, it's just reaching kind of part way in, just lining up with the logo on that side. If I just click that out of the way, and also the end of the menu on that side, so it would reset it to that. The other option, Reset Column Widths, that's to do with these columns here. So if you play around with these and kind of move them around, you might think, okay, well that's not what I want, I just want to go back to the way it was before. Then to do that, you would just click on the hamburger, just go to Reset Column Widths, and there you go, the reset back to the original 50-50, which is quite handy to be able to do when you're kind of playing around with things. The other thing you'll notice is that the columns as well have their own settings. So as you can see here, you've got, if you click on Edit Column, you've got column settings, reset column widths again, and reset row width. So you've got a number of options there, and you've got the same on the other column as well. Column settings, reset column widths, reset row width. If you look at column settings, then you've got some interesting options there as well. So you can specify a column width. So if you decide that you've got the 2 columns we've got here, and I actually want one of them to take up 2/3 of the actual screen, then I'll change that to something like 75%. And as you can see, one of the columns is now 75%. If you find that you're working with columns and you're actually having problems with the text, so you've got more text in one column than in another, or the image sizes are different, which happens an awful lot, and the headings aren't aligned, then you would need to come into column settings here and just go to Equalize Column Heights. If you just hover over the question mark, it says setting this to yes will make all of the columns in this group the same height regardless of how much content is in each of them. So if you click on that, set it to yes, you've got an option to do with content alignment. So you can equalize the column heights so that they're all aligned at the top, or in the center, or at the bottom. And you'll find that is a really handy option when you're building lots of rows with lots of different columns in them as well. So that's something to keep an eye on. So we just click on Save on that. Okay, I actually want this row to be full width, so I'm going to go to the spanner here. I'm going to change the width to full width. I'm going to keep the content fixed because I want the content to align nicely with the edge of the logo here, and the edge of the menu on that side. And then I'm going to click Save. If we wanted to add a module to the columns, then we know to do that. We click on the plus sign over here, we go to Modules, we select a module that we want. I'm going to just select the heading one, click on it, drag it over to the column we want to put the heading in and drop the heading in. I'm just going to call this Demo Heading and click Save. I actually want to have a heading in this column as well, so I could actually just go over to the plus, go to heading and drag that in, or as we learned we can duplicate a heading, so I can just go duplicate, drag the duplicated heading over to the column where I want it to be and drop it in. You can also have columns within a column as well, which is quite handy sometimes. And to do that, if you go over to the plus sign and go to rows, and say I wanted to have some columns, 3 columns within one of the columns, then I would just grab the 3 columns, move to the column where I wanted them to be and drop them in, and there you go. So you can see we've got this one column, and then within that we've got these sub-columns is probably a way to refer to them. And that's good for actually dividing up your content and creating web pages. That's quite a handy thing to use. The other thing you can do is if you go over to a heading and just click on the spanner, you'll notice all of the modules, it doesn't matter which one you pick, they're all created the same way. So they'll all have general settings, they'll all have a style choice which will allow you to control colouring and the layout, and they'll all have advanced as well. So there'll be some other extra kind of options on there, but in the main those are kind of the ones you're going to see. Sometimes you'll see a typography one, and sometimes you'll see a particular menu specific to the module that you've got on. But these are the kind of the routine ones that you'll see. In advanced, we've got all of our spacing ones, which are quite handy, so you'll probably go into those quite a bit. The other thing you can do is if you find you style a particular heading and you think, okay, well that's a style I want to use elsewhere, then you can actually save it away as a pre-saved module. So you can go Save As, you can bring up a dialog box, decide how you want to, what you want to call it, and I want to call this one Demo Module Heading. You can save it as a global one as well. If you do that, it means that whatever changes you make to that particular module when you use it, if it's used anywhere else in the website, those changes will be replicated across because it's actually global, so you're almost impacting the defaults. And that can be quite handy with contact forms where you've styled them once and you just want to use them many times across the site, and that can save quite a bit of time. I'm just going to save this as an individual module, so I'm going to click on No there and click Save. If I wanted to use that module somewhere else, then I'd come up to the plus sign, click on the plus sign, I'd go to Saved, and we've already got some saved modules here, and within the saved modules we've got Demo Heading here as well, and then you can move it anywhere you want. So if I was on another page, I could grab that particular module and drop it in. So that's quite handy to do. Last thing I wanted to show you is that you can actually save colour presets, which is quite handy as well. So if we go into our heading again, if we go to Style, go to Text Colour, then what you can do is you can drag these around to get the kind of colour that you want. And if you find a colour that you think, okay, well that's something that I want to use elsewhere in the site as a default part of your branding, and all you would need to do is just click on the plus here, and that adds it as a preset. And if you go to colour presets here, you can see it's been added, and that colour choice will be available to you in any of the page editor options and modules throughout the site, so you can use that colour at any time, and that can allow you to kind of build things quite quickly as well. So that's worthwhile doing. If you get a set of colours that you like, then save them away as presets so you can use them throughout the site for consistency. Okay, that's everything I wanted to go through in this video. So it's really just a recap and just going in a little bit more in depth into rows and to columns and also some of the options within modules as well. Okay, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks.